Tonight, more reaction after the province delivered its 2024-25 budget. Also, class complexity is a hot topic. We'll dig into how that might affect your school. Plus,
I'm the oldest Saskatchewan swimmer.
You'll meet a 94-year-old Regina woman who credits her good health to competitive swimming.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, March 21st, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. The first question period after Wednesday's provincial budget has wrapped up, and it was focused on affordability. The opposition NDP says the budget did not address affordability and cost of living concerns. It's asked for tax reductions, including a cut to the province's gas tax. The government did not raise or expand taxes, but it did not cut them either. Premier Scott Moe says the government believes its low income tax credit and employment incentive for low-income families will have an impact.
As often, this government, with the affordability measures that we bring in place, are targeted, Mr. Speaker, with a specific target on those families, Mr. Speaker, those low-income families, in improving the opportunities that they have and improving the opportunities, obviously, that their children will have.
The provincial budget is 92 pages long. 92 pages, Mr. Speaker, but not one single page contains any new relief measures for people in this province struggling with the cost of living. Not one.
The opposition says the increases to income and social assistance don't go far enough. It wants the Saskatchewan Income Support Program to be scrapped and replaced. More inclusive classrooms have been a goal of education for decades, but the teachers' strike has brought classroom complexity to the forefront, and not just here, but across the country. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson breaks it down what it is and how it's impacting learning for everyone.
These striking teachers have brought a phrase from teachers' bathrooms into the public conversation. They call it classroom complexity, and what it means is kids of different learning abilities, needs, and challenges all crammed into one, often large, class. The reality of it is more than just complicated. It can be described as chaotic. So how can we make it better?
Within those classes, you might have several students, maybe 6 or 7 or 8, or even more students who are on individualized learning plans, which means that they might be learning a different set of curriculum than the rest of students in the class. You might have a number of students within the class who have English as an additional language. You might have students who are struggling to manage their behavior and with emotional regulation. And you might have gifted students.
We're kind of now at a tipping point where the system's saying the tools we have to serve all kids are simply insufficient.
In extreme cases, there may even be instances of student violence towards other students or teachers.
Experts say students are not to blame. The situation is.
When kids are frustrated, when they're acting out, they're telling us something, right? It's communication. Something's not working for them. So we need to figure out what is that and then help them with the classroom understand that. Now, that may not be the classroom teacher's responsibility.
So how did we get here? Well, let's start with the intent behind classroom complexity, the right of students with different learning needs to be brought into a single learning environment.
There was even a UNESCO document about it. It was called the Salamanca Declaration, and it was signed by more than 90 countries, including Canada, exactly 30 years ago.
I think what we've come to realize over the years is that segregation is not a good thing. And we're now starting to understand that with people with disabilities, that when we segregate, we think they are less than, we think that they are different from, and that gives that message to everybody else that they're not as worthy. So it really is a human rights perspective.
The thing is, in Canada, each province and territory runs its own education system. Provinces give funding to school boards, and then eventually that funding determines if there's enough money to hire additional staff, like teaching assistants, school-based speech and language pathologists, and child psychologists.
Teacher unions in Ontario, BC, and New Brunswick have all successfully lobbied governments to put some provisions in place. Though many teachers and parents in those provinces will tell you it's not like every student there gets the support they need. In places like Saskatchewan, teachers say class complexity has an effect on every single child in that class.
It is heartbreaking. I know teachers take it home with them. I've had the experience where I have seen kids struggling, and despite everyone's best effort, whether it's the teacher, the student, or members of the family who are trying to support the learning that needs to happen, that the students' needs are getting left behind.
But it's not just about money. Some experts say it's also about how that money is spent. Often that requires creative thinking.
Sometimes support staff spend so much time supporting a kid with special education needs through their day, they don't get time with the teacher. But we could reverse some roles for small periods of the day where the teacher works with the kids who need them most, and the support staff supports the rest of the kids in their general learning activity.
Also, an overhaul in how teachers are trained.
66% of the teachers in Nova Scotia, when that student's first report came down, said their teaching training did not prepare them. They didn't feel prepared in the classroom.
But over in Saskatchewan, they want solutions now, more long-term, sustained funding and language around class sizes.
It might be hiring additional teachers to ensure that we have smaller class sizes or fewer split grade classes. It could be hiring some of those extra professional supports.
Some teachers say inclusion without proper supports is abandonment. As the conversation around complex classrooms gets more urgent, more uncomfortable, more complicated.
Meanwhile, a compromise of sorts for athletes hoping to compete in hoopla this weekend. The Provincial High School basketball tournament being held in Moose Jaw was cancelled because of ongoing job action from teachers. Disappointed students confronted Saskatchewan Teachers Federation President Samantha Beacott at the legislature on Wednesday. Instead of a tournament, there is going to be a one-day event on Saturday in Moose Jaw. Tammy Panchuk's 15-year-old will be playing for gold.
Kids are very excited. Very excited. The kids, families, parents, students, everybody's excited. We do have some graduates on both our senior girls and our senior boys team, so extra special for them to be able to play.
Panchuk says that even though she and the students were disappointed, they understand the bigger picture. She says they support teachers in their fight for smaller classroom sizes and resources for complexity. Panchuk says she hopes the STF and the government can meet in the middle and come to an agreement. Those at the top of the Saskatchewan Health Authority believe it is making progress on hospital crowding and wait times. And they say new money announced in yesterday's budget will help even more. Jason Warwick explains.
Yesterday was a very exciting day for us.
Saskatchewan Health Authority CEO Andrew Will followed along as the provincial government delivered its budget yesterday. In it, $7.6 billion specifically for healthcare. Will and other SHA officials were talking about that cash today at Saskatoon's City Hospital. They say that money will help a lot. The budget includes $500 million for hospital and care home construction in Prince Albert, Weyburn, and smaller centres. Will says there are other measures underway to ease pressure on emergency rooms and hospitals, including hiring more than 150 new staff already and adding another 500 beds for addiction treatment over the next few years.
Having those additional treatment spaces will improve access to services to support patients in their recovery from addictions. And it also has a secondary benefit in terms of alleviating pressure where people might seek services in our emergency rooms.
Will says the extra staffing and the increase in other supports should ease pressures over time. He also acknowledged all the hard work people are doing to make things better.
I am grateful for the ongoing support of Saskatoon teams have shown for this work as it progresses. We have more work to do, and we will continue to work with and listen to our staff to implement the actions outlined in our capacity action plan in order to provide the best possible care to the patients we serve.
Officials say that these measures will take time and that there is no magic solution, but they believe they're on the right track to improve things for staff and patients. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The federal immigration minister announced today that for the first time ever, Canada will set targets for how many people are allowed into the country under temporary resident programs. The goal is to reduce the level over the next 3 years. Rafi Boudjikanian reports.
Canada, like many other countries, has become addicted to temporary foreign workers.
And it's high time to treat that addiction, the federal government says. Over the next 3 years, it intends to reduce the number of temporary foreign residents that make up Canada's population from 6.2% down to 5%, something the immigration minister wants to do carefully.
If you look in those large categories, there are ones that we don't control. For example, the humanitarian categories. We are just now starting to get some control over the student category, which is a very large part of that.
Something else Ottawa wants to do is lower the number of foreign workers a business can hire, though it will carve out exemptions for construction, healthcare, and agriculture sectors.
This also encourages employers to prioritize workers that are already here, able and willing to do those roles. As of May 1st, we are asking employers that after they consider and offer the job to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and refugees, that they also now prioritize recruiting asylum seekers.
Some observers of the Canadian economy say today's announcement may be about sending a message to employers.
In 2022, the government announced a very significant expansion of the temporary foreign worker program. And this is just simply telling employers across the country, that's ending. This program is not expanding. We are beginning to push in a different direction.
But others say they do see an impact on housing availability.
If we think of there being 2 to 3 people per household, you're looking at a couple 100,000 homes. So this really will make a difference, because it also means that the non-permanent resident population isn't growing. And we've seen over the last year almost 1 million new non-permanent residents added to Canada's population.
The federal immigration minister says he wants to meet with his provincial and territorial counterparts in early May in order to receive their input on reducing the number of temporary residents before setting his targets. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
And so begins the temperature drop in some parts of the province. A cooler day in Saskatoon today, and even though it's going to get even colder overnight, the bright side is we're going to see some sunshine over the next couple days. Silver lining. Ethan will have more in your forecast after the break. Stay with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. March Mania is on now.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now, and the weather you had today really depended on where you are in the province.
Yeah, it's kind of a case of you get clear skies, but you got cold temperatures, you got cloud cover, but you got some warmer temperatures, and you can really see it here on the current temperature map right now. There's the divide right about there, northern Saskatchewan, looking at temperatures down in near minus 20 even right now in some spots, but through south and central, we're into the minus single digits. This is about where daytime highs were predicted to be today. We're dropping a little bit closer to minus 10 in some east central areas of the province, but here is a pretty clear picture of why we're seeing what we're seeing. There's that cloud line right there, almost right along the tree line or just south of it, to the north of the province, the sunshine, to the south, the cloud cover. And then, of course, in the southwest, we're seeing the remnants of the system that's been bringing through some snow beginning to move out. That's been tapering off through the afternoon here. And I think overnight tonight, we'll continue to see that snow move out. And this area of high pressure to the north going to clear the rest of south and central out, especially as we get into the commute tomorrow morning. A lot of communities looking at clear skies, save for that southwest corner once again. And then a similar day on Saturday here. Again, south central and southwestern areas a little bit cloudier in advance of yet another system that's going to be moving through. This is the northern edge of a Colorado low. That high pressure that I was talking about is actually pushing that low further southward. So the rest of south and central won't be as impacted by that as just that southwest corner and much of Montana, but that'll be moving out as we get into Sunday afternoon. So these are preliminary snowfall totals through the weekend. But again, could see another stretch of 10 to 15 centimeters in the same area where we've just seen this most recent system. If you're south of the Trans-Canada, though, this is what's primarily impacting you. Trans-Canada corridor and northward, especially Regina and area, not looking for too much here. And you can see I've added a few Montana locations to show just how much more snow they are likely to get from this. But as those clouds clear away with that high pressure moving in, we'll have a couple of chilly nights here. Saskatoon and central Saskatchewan, especially Friday into Saturday and Saturday into Sunday. We could see some lows nearing -30 with the northern part of the province. So very chilly, and winds will pick up a little bit in advance of the system moving in into Saturday as we see that move into the southwest. But they won't pick up all that much, and we won't feel the effects from that very much in the Regina area, where we're looking for highs over the next few days right around -5. We will get some clearing skies. We're far enough east from that system in Regina that I don't think we'll be very much impacted by that. And then some cloud cover mid next week as things start to warm up. Saskatoon, here's what I'm talking about with your temperatures just being a little bit cooler than Regina and the south. -10 tomorrow, mid -20s for overnight Friday and Saturday before things do gradually warm up. That 0 on the board, Sam, was actually sitting at Wednesday the day before, so we're moving that carrot just a little further along down the road.
I was just going to point out we're a week out from spring to return.
Spring's here.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, let's call this a distant cousin to the Canadian winter sport. Sandboarding is making a comeback in this desert town in West Namibia after a lull during the pandemic. But the open desert and rolling dunes also attract other extreme sports like quad bike rides. This seaside resort is seeing a boom in tourism in recent months. There's been a major increase in visitors as many ships go around the African continent to avoid the Red Sea. We'll be back after the break. Living on the street is dangerous at any time, but new figures from one Canadian city show a startling recent trend. Since 2019, Edmonton has seen the deaths of homeless people multiply 8 times. Paige Parsons looks at what's behind that increase.
There's Dad, me, and Chris and Mom.
Chris Jonason's life started with such promise.
He was incredibly smart. They actually wanted to skip him ahead of grade in school.
But after experiencing the sudden deaths of a schoolmate and then his best friend, he started to struggle.
Counseling back then wasn't really a thing. And he started drugs to self-medicate.
Jonason spent the next few decades in and out of jail. He tried to get sober, but then his son was killed in 2021.
And then he just gave up after that.
Jonason died of a drug overdose in a downtown shelter in September. The 51-year-old is one of 787 homeless Albertans who died last year. Edmonton has seen a dramatic surge in deaths compared to pre-pandemic. Despite having a much smaller population, its numbers have surpassed Toronto.
March 2020 to March 2023, I lost 1 in 7 of my patients.
Barr says the majority died of fentanyl or carfentanil overdoses, thanks to increasingly toxic street drugs. He says addictions treatment is not enough. Better access to housing and mental health support is desperately needed. When people who are homeless die, it's often in public places. Last year, someone died on a bus bench on this popular street.
Is our teams that are finding them or discovering them or coming across them. And so there's a lot of active work being done to make sure that we give the overdose response training and naloxone training. So all of these nodes are where we've reported a death in public. And
this agency has started mapping where people are dying.
Yeah. It's shocking, the amount that it
and have a plan to make it public.
The hope would be that the general public pays attention to that, and it may force people to check on one another, to look out for their neighbors.
Lisa Meyer says it remains too hard for people like her brother to get help. That's why she's telling his story.
They're living on the street. Somebody loves them. Doesn't matter who they are, but somebody loves them, and somebody's heart is broken when they die.
Hoping people understand and care. Paige Parsons, CBC News, Edmonton.
A long-awaited apology was made today to 2 Manitoba men who were switched at birth almost 70 years ago. Premier Wab Kinew told them at the very least the government owed them that much.
I stand here as the Premier of Manitoba
to apologize to each of you directly. Richard Bouvet, I am sorry. Edward Ambrose, I am sorry.
Edward Ambrose and Richard Bouvet were both in a small municipally run hospital in 1955, but they were mistakenly sent home with each other's parents. The truth came out decades later after one of them took home an at-home DNA ancestry test. Manitoba's former Progressive Conservative government had said the province was not involved in the mix-up because the hospital was operated by the municipality in the days before universal Medicare. But the men's lawyer says the hospital received most of its funding from the province. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
And we're still staying cloudy tonight in Regina at midnight. We'll be around -9. But as we get into the early morning hours tomorrow, as you head out the door, we're seeing those mostly clear conditions. A little chilly, wind chill near -20. And then as we get into the afternoon, warming up pretty quickly to around -6. We should see mostly sunny skies tomorrow. For Saskatoon, we're starting around -14 at midnight. We're seeing that clearing a little earlier than Regina. And then, of course, we have temperatures pretty chilly tomorrow morning. That is a wind chill near -30 as you head off to work and to school. And then by the afternoon, not warming up all that much, around -14 under those sunny skies. So a day where we may not crack the -10 mark in Saskatoon, Sam.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, Saskatchewan's oldest competitive swimmer is living proof that it is never too late to get active. Mary Brown helped start up the Regina Master Swim Club in the 1970s. And now in her 90s, she says she has no plans to stop.
I'm the oldest Saskatchewan swimmer. So, I mean, there's nobody else in my age group at all throughout Saskatchewan. So, like when we had our recent swim meet, well, you know, it's almost as though I could say, it doesn't matter how long it takes me to swim, whatever distance I'm going to swim in the meet, I'm going to be the winner. The most I've ever swam in a competition is 400 meters. I'm trying to build up my endurance so I can go and touch the ball and turn around and come back again. But I like to continue because I feel the swimming is keeping me in good health because I've always been in good health. And I think that's what's helped me. In 1977, we started, yeah. And it was another gal and I that we were sitting on the bleachers, and we were watching, we had children, or a child, that swam with the children's club, which was called the Dolphins. And so as we sat there, she said to me, what are we sitting here for? We should be swimming ourselves.
8 times 225s or 250s.
She swims with this club. She's my oldest daughter.
But I've never thought about giving up because I want to keep at it like Mom is.
People are all ages, right from 18 upwards. And I mean, I'm 94 now and I'm still swimming. So, and this just flabbergasts people, you know.
Did you expect to still be swimming at 94?
No, I sure didn't. Never entered my head, I don't think. I mean, you've got to keep moving.
Good advice for us all. That's it for us tonight. For news anytime, go to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.